it's limited to project management. So with Scrum you can plan your house, your marriage, your life. XP is very special, and we will look at it. At the end I will give you some additional information about others. The history of Agile is an interesting point. I worked at a large company. I started to work with Daimler-Benz. 200,000 people working there. The software development, 2,000 or 3,000. We developed large systems. We had a lot of software engineering in the company. So there was no need to use other techniques. But small companies in the 90s had no software engineering at all. They had no modeling, no testing. They just did quick and dirty programming. You had it in Europe, you had it in the States. If you went to a small company, they just did quick and dirty software development. So in the 90s, the Americans realized that more and more products will contain a large amount of software. And if they program like they did, they realized that they cannot sell their products. Compared to the good Japanese products with well-developed software, the American products failed. So America decided to do something. They said, we have to improve our software development. And they did two different things, both very important for the history of software development itself. The first is they founded a large software engineering institute in Pittsburgh. The software engineering institute developed a lot of methods, but mainly for developing of large systems and mainly for administration and defense. So the Department of Defense, the DoD, was the main supporter of the Software Engineering Institute. Once I was on a conference and I met someone who was responsible for British aerospace fighters. And I said to him, okay, what are you doing with the maintenance of the systems, and what are you doing with faults and errors? And he said, well, that's a big problem. If you have the pilot up there and his life is depending on the software you have implemented, you are more carefully. You test more, you design more, you do a lot of more to get software without errors. And if there are errors, we don't say, okay, we now have to reboot the system, you have to wait 5 minutes. You have to have a running system all the time, because the pilot's life is depending on the software. And in the States, they did the same with the Software Engineering Institute and the founding of special requirements software companies have to fulfill if they want to develop software for the Department of Defense or for American administration at all. There are quality levels, and but the other problem was that the small companies did not have the money to implement large software engineering things. So they said, we must support these companies as well. We must give them something that they develop better software. So they started to bring people together to develop special software engineering things to make small companies better in software development. So the first step of agile software development, and you still see it in the methods, is that they are addressed to small companies, not to big ones. So they developed the Agile Manifesto. It was 17 software developers in 2001, so it's a little bit more than 20 years ago. And there are many famous people, and you see there are 3 from extreme programming. There are 3 from the Scrum group. And there is Robert Martin, who developed the solid architectural principles. Here is, Martin Fowler, very famous to develop sort of architectural principles and architectural patterns. So these people had a manifesto. And I will give you this is a short version. That they said, if we have an agile development for small companies, they have to fulfill some of these principles. You know the word principle? They said these are principles. They are true. We don't discuss about it anymore. These principles have to be fulfilled. So the first is customer satisfaction by early and continuous delivery of software. Before that, we had the Big Bang delivery. You know what that means, Big Bang delivery? Marcus knows. You develop, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. Then you go with the think software which is ready to the customer. The customer looks at it and says, no, what I wanted is completely different. And it's wrong what you developed. So the Agile people said, you have to meet the customer in short periods of time. You have to give